This is episode number 2 of the Zeke and Tuesday show, and this is an after hours episode. After hours episodes are the episodes to get made after hours. Once we put the kids to sleep. It's now midnight, and it is officially Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth, Texas.
Ooh.
Yeah. Happy Juneteenth. Yesterday was Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers, especially me, my wonderful husband, my king, the king of our castle. Happy Father's Day to all of those who didn't get a happy Father's Day because of whatever drama you might be having going on. That not your fault. If it's your fault, then you deserve not getting no Father's Day. But if it's not your fault, I'm sorry, bruh. It wasn't your fault. And happy Father's Day. And also, we want to send a heartfelt condolences to those who experience Father's Day without their fathers. I'm praying for comfort for your heart, peace for your heart for this time of year or anything that you might be going through. I just pray for your peace and for God's comfort to be with you in this time. Yeah. So we have a juicy topic for today. Well, not so juicy, but whatever you would have it to be. We're just gonna flow, huh? We're gonna flow in it a little bit. But primarily, in our first episode, I talked about our first year marriage, and that's what I kept emphasizing. But like this particular season that we're shooting right now is about the first few years of marriage. So that's like year 1, 2, 3, and then you can even extend it all the way to year 5 because those are like the beginning parts of your marriage. I say about like 5 years you pretty much know your spouse, and your marriage is pretty much defined about 5 years, most people, unless you just have to do some reevaluating and things like that. But for ours, it was like the first 5 years. So that's what we really want to emphasize on within these episodes is the first 3 to 5 years of marriage. All right. So today, you want to introduce the subject that we're going to talk about today, babe? Look, he yawning. It's like, it's late. He yawning. Stay up, bro. Stay in the fight.
I ain't as young as I used to be.
But it's after hours with Zeke and Tuesday.
Boy, and when we was younger, you could stay up and do nothing all night. But now that ain't the same.
I'm amp, y'all. Hey. Kid sleep. What he doing? What you doing?
I'm up. But okay, what was we gonna speak about again?
I'm gonna introduce the subject and we're gonna let him flow, okay? Because he getting a little tired. He punking.
I ain't punking that.
Okay.
Hey man.
It's been a rough weekend. We partied literally all this weekend. Like starting with Thursday, we had like an industry event with colleagues, business colleagues. And we stayed out all night with them. And then like the next night we celebrated my brother's birthday. And then Father's Day weekend. So we've had especially it hasn't been a norm for us in a couple of years. So he's trying to adapt to that. But me, as far as me, I'm a little like, I don't know what I am. I'm a little amp. So we're going to see how long I last in this. But basically, our episode for today, we're going to talk about culture norms and culture norms within marriage, culture norms of society, as well as culture norms from each other's personal households. And the things that we had to kind of like let go of, things that we kind of like embraced and we brought into our marriage, and then things that we had to kind of like find out weren't as good ideas as
we had to get them out of there.
Yeah, weren't good ideas that we thought were marriage before we got married. Like, well, that's just how marriage goes, right? That's what we thought. And then once we got in marriage, we was like, yeah, that's not gonna work for us. So we not gonna even take that into this, okay? Okay. So let's jump right in. So one of the things that we were kind of discussing while we were like coming up with this subject is like the culture norms. I'm gonna start off, so I make sure that I throw myself on the bus of like what type of wife, I am compared to what type of like household he was used to. So do you want to tell them what type of household you grew up in?
It was stable for the most part. My mom was just a domestic woman. Like, she gonna cook, she gonna clean, she gonna make sure, hey, we was hungry, she was gonna make sure we ate, and things like that. She gonna clean to the point to where she was gonna be on us to be cleaning as well. So, just those, little things and the ins and outs of that. Growing up in a household like that, you see the good and you see the bad, but you don't know if it's good or bad until you become one with your wife and y'all start to grow and y'all start to build y'all family, and you see the things that you did or that your mom and pops did in the household when you were growing up, and you try to implement and bring that into your marriage.
Or you think that it's we're not gonna say that it's normal, but you think that every household is supposed to be like that. Yeah.
So it was just little things that
we both had to learn, honestly.
Yeah, we had to learn a lot, but I'm just talking about the things that we started off doing, that wasn't good for our marriage. Not saying it won't be good for anybody else's marriage,
but for ours.
But for ours,
yeah.
And just to take a deep dive into that, because like that really shapes the marriage as well. Not only just compromising, because it ain't just always about compromising. It's much deeper than that, because it's just like, if it's something that that you don't believe in, why would you compromise?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was just that, and us having to learn the differences and learn the ways of things that work for us.
Yeah.
That work for you and I and our families.
Yeah.
So that's what we want to talk to you guys about today.
Yeah. So just to save some face for me, I grew up in a different type of household. I grew up in a household where my dad was an entrepreneur, and my mom she worked in corporate healthcare, like in a corporate of like the healthcare system. And she was hardworking. My mama worked all the time. She was not domestic at all. Like, she would clean because she had to, but it wasn't like, because his mama, like, y'all, she on a whole nother level. Like, her pride and joy is making sure that she clean up after her family and like feed her family. And
like OCD.
Yeah.
Like,
and my mom, she was just cleaning up for like survival. Like, she would just clean up like maybe like
straighten up. She was just straightening up.
I mean, she would clean up like once a week, like a hardcore like clean. But for the most part, like, it wasn't. And then my mama cooked for survival. She didn't cook because she liked to cook. She cooked because we had to eat. But me, on the other hand, then also my grandmother was the same way. Not my mom's mom. My mom's mom was domestic, but my dad's mom was very career driven as well. Like, she worked in corporate America as well. Retired from corporate America, or not necessarily corporate America. She worked for Frito-Lay, but she worked in the corporate part of Frito-Lay for like 50-some years. I think about 50-some years, 30-some years. Older than, she was working there before I was born, and then she retired when I was like a senior in high school. I think that's when she retired. But she was like that too, but she cooked, but she wasn't washing no dishes. And yeah, like, she wasn't very domestic. She was a very career-driven woman, and as well as my mom, they could go in and make some business things, spokespeople of their departments, different things like that. Those were the type of women that they are, kind of like how I am. But I did get that from my grandmother, to the point where like, I can cook. So y'all don't be thinking on her, looking at my husband thinking that he don't get fed, because I can cook. I do cook, but I don't wash the dishes after I cook, and I'm not very domestic with like I mean, honestly, when it comes to taking care of house, I get a little ADD. Okay. I start washing the dishes, but then I'll get caught up in working because I work a lot. And I wash the dishes, washing the clothes. I get caught up in working, and then I fall behind on washing the clothes. Like it's very challenging for me to focus on just doing laundry. Like I'll get like sidetracked with like a business meeting, or sidetracked with like handling business and trying to call and negotiate some things, or like I'll get sidetracked. Okay. So then he had to come in, and then he had to finish the job. Or like he has to even start it, because sometimes my week has moved so fast that I don't even have time to even do it. So he would have to step in and do it. And I think now we have a balance with that, but early in our marriage,
that was just one of the things where I would say one of the hiccups that we ran into a lot. And I ain't gonna say she ran into, I ran into, because there was an expectation that I put on her because of how I was brought up.
And I feel like I was failing, y'all, because I wasn't thriving. Like, I thrive in business. I wasn't thriving at being a stay-at-home mom with my kids, because all my kids weren't even in school then. So I wasn't thriving at being a stay-at-home mom with my kids. Like, when he would come home, like, it would be stuff everywhere, because like I was trying to manage like keeping my kids. And just to be honest, being a stay-at-home mom is like the hardest career you can have in my eyes. It's way harder than going to negotiate deals and setting up meetings and doing all the things that I do. Like, it's harder. That was harder for me. So thank God they're all in school now. But like, that was one of the most depressing times in my life when we tried for me to be a stay-at-home mom. So we had to eventually put them in school, and he became an entrepreneur so he can be able to like balance, being able to like be available more so around the clock. And then we had to pay for daycare.
And they're not cheap.
They're not cheap, but that's why we're glad that they all in school now. Praise the Lord.
Yeah, ain't no different. Perhaps we're a little different.
Well, it is, but it ain't. I mean,
money, but
well, yeah, you pay a lot of money for like what they have to. Yeah, we still have to, but it's not daycare. So I'm grateful for that. But at first, I will say that it was a challenge for me, and I felt like I was failing because I wasn't the type of mom that society felt like I should be. And me and him would talk about that, and he was like, "Baby, what works for us works for us." Like, we have to understand what works for us. What works for us not gonna work for everybody. And people used to judge us.
That was in the beginning, and when
I say people, I'm not talking about like friends. I'm talking about like parents and grandparents used to like judge us because of like our makeup. Well, Zeke ain't supposed to be doing that. You supposed to be doing that. And it was like, we had to just finally move away.
But not
like that, y'all. I'm just making like the situation, but we just
had to find out what worked best for us.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. It's just like finding out what works best for you.
Yeah.
Like, period.
And your significant other, because y'all might be different. You might be able to be a stay-at-home mom, and he might be better with business. But I do know for sure for us, because we did start off our marriage with kids, we had to find a balance. Like, I mean, we didn't have kids. Well, I had a son before we got married, who Zeke adopted and has taken as his own. Like, we've been together since he was 4. So, like, we had to adapt with that. But once we start having kids, like, it's like we had that challenge as well. But the thing is, even though we're talking about it in retrospect to kids and being a mom, it's still the social norms of society that society say it's this and it can't be this, that make us think, first of all, have a fairy tale mindset when it comes to marriage, and also make us have false expectations when it comes to marriage.
Or putting expectations on your significant other without them even knowing.
Yeah.
Like, that was the main problem. Like, I would feel like that's the main problem. Like, sitting down and learning and saying, okay, what do you expect from me when it comes from this? Are you expecting this because this is how it was? This is how you were brought up, and you were expecting it because of that? Or are you expecting it because I seen my mom do it like this, so it should be like that, and the vice versa for women. I seen my dad do it like this, so you should do it that way. Like no, because I'm not your dad, and you're not my mom. So
yeah, and then also let's be honest now. A lot of times our parents did not discuss with us what worked and what didn't. So it might even be helpful that you go have conversation with your parents and find out the real. Now that you're an adult, they might be a little bit more honest with you on what worked and what looked like it worked when you were a kid that necessarily did not work for them.
Period.
So that's a good conversation to have, like asking them like, okay, was this realistic? How did this work? And they'd be like, because you will find out some things like it wasn't as happy as you thought it was. You know what I'm saying? Or your parents learn how to compromise, or they certain types of people. So for instance, like when I first got married, we felt like it was a sin. I did, not him. I was raised as if, they never said it was, but as if it was a sin for a man to still have friends and still be able to hang out with his friends, and for me to still be able to hang out with my friends, or in retrospect of having single friends, like they'd be like, you don't need no single friends. And I found that to be a myth. It's not always about having single friends. It's having friends that respect your marriage and having friends that respect you, that mean good for you. Because some people in your life, they just don't mean you no good. And you really saw the red flags before you even got married, or before you even considering marriage. You probably see them red flags now, so you need to start paying attention even before you get married, okay? But, certain friendships have to be removed because of who the person is, not because you're married, Like, it's important to keep those friendships. If they weren't healthy, then they'll kind of like fade away anyway, because sometimes you lose friends even without trying to be like, oh, I don't need to have these friends. Sometimes you just grow apart, But in retrospect to like still having a balance, like I used to feel some type of way when he went and played basketball. Like I was like, I don't know why I felt like he should have like gave it up.
Like 5 days a week.
Well, he's played a lot, extensively. But now I don't even have to argue with him about it. I think he just stays so busy that he only really have time to even play like maybe 2-3 times a month. If that. But that was a pet peeve for me, and that was his going out. And I will say, like, he did have a stage in life where he did like reconnect with some friends that he's no longer like as close to, that kind of was like, I don't know. I don't know. It's just kind of like a phase where he was kind of trying to figure out friendships and discern what friends are for your marriage and not for your marriage. But I would say that we had to learn that we still needed that outlet. We still needed to be able to go to the gym and go play basketball with my homeboys. And for me, mine was like being able to go, chill with the girls to probably about 12. We don't ever stay out when we away from each other past 12, not even by default, because we don't even put those limits on each other. It's just like a natural instinct for the most part. Like, okay, it's at 12, it's time for me to go home. You know what I'm saying? And not like, something bad gonna happen at the 12, but shoot, mainly because we be tired and we just be ready to get, for me, I be ready to get back home to him and by that time I'm tired of folks. I'm ready to get back to my family. But that's one of the things that we felt like was like, you weren't supposed to do that in marriage because of the fact of, I grew up in the church, and it's just this unwritten rule of what's supposed to happen when you marry. And I found out that didn't work for us. And we just had to find our own norms and create our own culture of marriage that worked for us. And we have a good balance now.
Yeah. Very good balance. And what that is, with us, finding that balance, we just had to, in the beginning, we had to think about the different elements that worked, for our marriage and for our relationship, because marriage is one thing, and then your relationship is one thing. You know, we still individual people. Like she said, we're friends, so we still have to have that balance, and you know, the different elements and the important elements that, you know, that helped me get past that was, you know, learning like, hey, integrity, compromise, and like different things like that. Showing communication and like showing us like, okay, like I hear you, I get it. So not saying like, hey, take it all away, but knowing that, okay, well, let's compromise a little bit. Okay, instead of going and do this every day or hang out and do this all the time, okay, let's step back. Let's do this 2 times or 3 times a week. And you know, those were the things that we had to learn, or I had to learn basically early on, you know, in our marriage.
Yeah.
That's what, you know, kept the wheels turning, because being able to, you know, not only sit, but knowing to compromise and say like, okay, hey, like I know that this wasn't right. I can't put these expectations that I'm getting from I don't know where, because it's just like, hey, like I don't know where I'm getting this from.
Especially expectations that we see on TV, y'all. TV is a liar, like,
and a deceiver.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, we're individual people with individual goals, individual aspirations, individual assignments on our life for like our purpose. And you know, once you're individual people, it's a constant battle of it's not tick for tack, but it's like tick for tack in like a positive way, not like it's not tick for tack. It's like give and take. That's good, baby. Sorry, not tick for tack. Like give and take. Like, okay, like I have to compromise this for this. I have to compromise this for
both
this.
Both ways, like with both partners, it has to one somebody can't be compromising and the other one isn't. Like it's never going to work. It's like, oh, okay, I compromise. Yeah. But what about you? The other spouse or the other person just don't want to compromise and want to continue to do the things that they, continue to do, and not want to compromise and not want to have that hope and that open communication and the integrity of that. It's like, ain't no wrong with going out, but it's just like you still have to have that integrity for yourself. It's like, oh man, I know not to be trying to dabble into that.
And then also because you should know what you should consider. Just like my relationship with God, right? I don't have a fearful relationship with God. I have a holy, fearful reverence for God. Like I know what he's capable of by taking his hands off of me and taking grace off of me. But I love him so much because he loves me that I respect how he loves me, and I respect the things that I should be doing and the things that he says, because I know that he loves me. So I respect that. It's like an integral type of relationship that I have with him. And that's the same with my husband. Like, if I know that my husband loves me, like, I don't want to do anything that would hurt him or make him feel bad or make him feel like I don't appreciate him. You know what I'm saying? So I always consider, like, okay, how would I feel if, this really bothers, my significant, or if I really had something that bothered me and my significant other wasn't willing to work on it. And it's not control, because my thing is, this is the most, well, I've always been secure in relationships because I'm secure in myself. But like, I'm so secure with him because he just allows me to be who I am. But I'm so secure with him to the point where, like, if Zeke is out all times of the night, it's never been me thinking that he was out here in these streets. Not all times of the night, but I'm saying if you ever been out like at 12, like early in our marriage when he was like trying to like find his way with friends and stuff like that, it was because of safety. You know what I'm saying? Or me wanting to know where he is was because of safety, not because I was like insecure about who he was with and what he was doing. It was like, I need to know that you're okay. I need to know that I can trust the friends that you have, because it's grimy out here in these streets. And all your friends don't mean good for you, but I look out for my man like that. So I want to know where you are because of safety. Because safety is more important to me. But other people, and you was really receptive about that, but I know for a fact, because I am that type of person. I've never been insecure about stuff like that. I have been in relationships where people thought that it was me just wanting to be me being insecure, you know? And it's not that. It's just because of safety. Because y'all know how people are. Like, people set up your friends. Sometimes friends be secretly hating. So that would be my thing. Is like, I didn't want him out doing this because I needed to rest. Like, if you out at this certain time, or you doing, like, I don't want to be having to be like watching my phone because I don't know whether you safe or whether you're gonna come back home. You know what I'm saying? That was my thing. But
come back home.
Yeah.
Where am I go?
Well, not like that, but like things happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, not now. Let me tell you, if you want to leave, if a person want to leave, I was perfectly okay with people leaving, but basically coming back home alive. You know what I'm saying? Or missing, because stuff be going down in these streets. Let's be honest. You know what I'm saying? So that would be my thing. But just having the integrity to know what's a non-negotiable for your partner and what is, and then knowing what works for you, because you might be with the wrong person.
Yeah.
And not if you already married, if you dating. If you already married, you need to find a way to make it work. You need to find a way. But these are things that you should know while you dating. Like, you should know whether you get along with that person off bat. Like, the conversations that y'all have. Like, what type of people are y'all? What are y'all interests? You know what I'm saying? And I think that's important to figure that out very, very early on too. So that was like one of the culture norms for me, thinking that it's a fairy tale. Like, he's going to marry me and we're going to just be happy with a white picket fence and kids, and he goes to work and come home, and then we go on family vacations and date nights, and not thinking that this man don't still need a relationship with his friends that came before me, or he still need his outlets with basketball and different things like that. Ain't that crazy?
It is. Very much so. But on top of that, you know, as far as, you know, getting to the, you know, growing parts of where we grew, like, what would you say? What would you think? What were the, you know, most three? Go give me. You don't even have to give me three. Just give me two to three things, elements where help maintain our relationship and our marriage.
Ooh, I think, first of all, I think because God is like the head of our marriage. Like, I tell people all the time, if anybody asks me, like, well, how did y'all learn how to trust each other? I trust God. I trust God as his creator, who created him. And I pray for him. I go to God about him now. It wasn't always that. It used to be sometimes I went to Zeke about Zeke, and they didn't always end well. So I had to learn how to go to God about Zeke. And I had to learn that men are people too. Because a lot of people don't understand that men are people too. And men need outlets too. Like, I feel like men are the most undervalued people in society. Kids want to be understood and people try to understand kids. Women want to be understood and people try to understand women. But men are just supposed to man up, you know? And I think once I understood that he was a human being as well, and a lot of things that I seen in my father, and a lot of things that I came to know about my father from, you know, growing up, and I had to think back, it made me look at him a different way. It made me understand him a different way. So I think that was the main thing. And we got to wrap this up. We almost hitting the mark. But we're gonna elaborate on this, and we're gonna come back with a part 2, Zeke, and you can elaborate on what you think worked for us. So we're gonna cut it short so we can come back.
I can just answer 2.
Okay, go ahead. We're still gonna do a part 2, y'all, so hold on.
Well, basically, just like you said, you know, just trust. Just having that trust, not only just trust like in you, but just like you saying, trust in God. To know. It's just like, if I want things to change, or I feel like if you weren't doing things as much as how I wanted them to be, let me just be honest, because that's what it is, like how I wanted it to be. Because like that's the thing, like that's what I mean. Man, you supposed to be And that's what it was. So me just having that trust and just like you said, going to God about you instead of me just trying to fix you on my own. It's like, oh, I'm gonna fix her, but it just like, no, I'm gonna fix you through God, and and with trust, and trusting you as well, but also trusting in God because he ain't gonna ever fail.
Amen.
So it's like that's what it was. Like that's one of the most important things, and then integrity. Like that's it, just integrity and compromising.
Yeah.
But I will put I put compromise, at the end. But those I feel like compromising and integrity, like they go hand in hand.
And I feel like all the other things are more important to help you be able to compromise.
Yeah.
Because you can't compromise without those other things. Compromise comes it's a little bit harder to do without those things that you said before compromise.
Yeah, like trusting, like communicating, because communicating, you're gonna always get better at communicating, but those are just one of the things. But the main thing is just that trust, building up that trust. Like that was the thing. Like just knowing, like, okay, I'm gonna go to her about her first. It's like I'm gonna go to no, because you're gonna try to fix it yourself. Okay, what do you feel like I should be doing?
Yeah.
Instead of like, okay, God, I want her to be more like this, so I'm gonna pray for this within her. Okay, give her strength in this. If she feel like she can't do it, if she got any insecurities in this area, I'm gonna pray against those insecurities.
Yeah.
For her to be able to step out on faith and be like, okay, cool. Like I can compromise with that. But if you don't pray about it to be able to, okay, well, I can compromise. I feel a lot easier now compromising with things because it was a lot of things that in the beginning it was hard for you to compromise with.
Yeah, because it was like, this is this because of the way that I believed, y'all. Like the way that I was very religious in the beginning of our marriage. And now I'm not so much religious. I have a personal relationship with God, and I'm about relationship. And I read my Bible with an understanding because now I understand it for myself. And it's not based on what people told me. It's based on who I know God is. I know that God is love. And just like they say, like, to know if your spouse is the right people, love is patient. That particular scripture, you fit it with that person. And I had to fit it with me. First of all, I had to start it with me. I always used to say, Zeke is patient, Zeke is kind, Zeke is long suffering. That particular scripture. But I had to go back and say Tuesday is, whoa, hold on. Is Tuesday patient? Whoa, hold on. Is Tuesday kind? Wait, hold on. Is Tuesday operating the fruit of the spirit? So once I kind of figured that out a little bit and I had to do some self-work and some self-reflecting, then that made it easier for me to be able to come out of religion when it came to my marriage and be able to trust God to direct my marriage and allow us to be able to thrive the way that he sees marriage instead of the way that the cultural norms will make marriage be. And that's on both sides. Like, the world has a way that marriage is supposed to be, and then the church has a way that marriage is supposed to be. But what does God say about marriage, right? And that's what we have to find out, what God says about marriage.
Yeah.
Yep. So I think we're going to cut off right here, y'all, because we're going to come back with a part 2. Like, we're going to keep recording, but I'm going to cut this video off, and then we're going to come right in with the part 2. So stay tuned for part 2. See y'all in a little bit.